Time keeps on leaving and we keep on moving. When do we pass on our wisdom to the youth? My veteran story, lost arts discussions, fireside chats with a bourbon or two. It's time to hear the stories by military veterans. Get yourself ready. It's the Lost Arts Podcast. The Lost Arts with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast that gives a voice to our veterans. On today's episode, we have Air Force and Army Reserve veteran Brad Dunlap. He's going to come on here and give us his veteran story. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure all of you as well. But before we get into that, if you want to donate any money to help us with our project here as we go around interviewing veterans, you can go to our website. There's a patron button that you can click. That's a reoccurring donation that you can do, or you can scroll down and then there is a one-time donation link that you can do as well. Just click that. Any money that you give is very much appreciated to help us with our cause here. And if you want to be a guest on the program, then you can email me at thelostartwithandrewcox@gmail.com. Again, that's thelostartwithandrewcox@gmail.com. And last but not least, we do have some merchandise for sale. So if you want to help spread the word, you can go on and hit the merchandise link on our website, and you can get to that merchandise and be able to buy it. We have hats, we have cups, we have shirts, we have all kinds of stuff that has to do with the Lost Art Podcast. That the link is to our website is thelostart.podbean.com. All right, without further ado, we're going to say hi to Brad. Brad, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Andrew. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic now that we can see each other, we can hear each other. Things are going well.
It took a minute.
Yeah, it took a little bit, yeah. All right. Well, hey, Brad, let's do like we do with everyone. Let's kind of start at the beginning. Like, where did you grow up? And then what drew you into the service? And then kind of just start walking us through things.
Well, Andrew, to start with, I think it's important to tell you that my family's military history goes back to the Civil War.
Yeah.
A relative on my mother's side was a surgeon in the Civil War for the North, and he kept a journal. And my grandmother gave me that journal, and it was very interesting and detailed, but for safekeeping, I returned it to her, and she's subsequently donated it to one of the local historical societies. But talking about that grandmother, she was a grandmother when she enlisted as a WAC during World War II. And she was a switchboard operator in England. And a funny story there was Charles Schultz, the creator of Snoopy, was a censor at the same base where she was. And when my grandmother sent a note to her daughter and her granddaughter, she would always include this drawing of this puppy.
That's wild.
So came across that when he was censoring her mail, became friends with my grandmother, and asked, he said, when I got here, I want to be a cartoonist. Is it okay if I use your sketch as the basis for my cartoon? And that's how Snoopy was born.
No kidding. That is amazing.
I got a whole letter that I wanted to show you, but I didn't have time to dig it out because we had all these technical difficulties. Then my grandmother's uncle, or my grandmother's younger brother, my great uncle, was 44 years old, was the oldest man to ever enlist in the Marines during World War II and served in the South Pacific.
Wow. That's amazing. 44 years old.
Yeah. He made it home, and so did my grandmother. Let's see, where did I want to go from there? Oh, why did I join the military? No, this is how do I do this? I went to high school for two reasons. One was to play basketball, and one is I was going out with the best looking girl in school. I was a very, very poor student. But I was captain of the basketball team, and she was the cutest girl in school. So I had a reason to go. But I never had a really good coach. I was captain, high scorer, but we were a very small school. We won very few games. But my goal was to go to Monroe Community College, where George Monahan was coach. He was one of the best small school coaches in the world. And I figured 2 years there, I transferred to Notre Dame. That was my goal, to play high school or college ball for Notre Dame. At a restaurant. I just made it to the community college because I almost failed high school. I needed one credit to get my diploma, and they found that because in New York State, if you're in chorus, they give you a quarter credit a year. I had 4 years of chorus. That's how I got my high school diploma.
Oh, wow.
So I just got into Monroe Community College, and I made the first two cuts for the basketball team.
Wow.
I went back to I was working in my father's restaurant, and after school I went back and I said, Dad, I made the first two cuts. I'm going to make this team. I'm going to play basketball. I'm going to play college ball. He says, no, you're not. You're working here. He said,
no.
you know I could. We had a hell of an argument. He said, you know I could make you service. Well, I didn't think that was quite right. But to piss him off, I went down the next day, signed up, and took the test. I didn't tell him. I did that. So once I passed the test, I went to see the Army recruiter, and I really wasn't impressed with him. So I said, well, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But they must talk. Within the federal building, the Army recruiter must talk to the Air Force recruiter, because I just stopped at the drinking fountain to get a drink, and the Air Force recruiter come up and says, you Mr. Dunlap? And I said, yes. He says, how would you like to go to Syracuse University for Russian? I said, what? He says, yep. He says, I can't guarantee you, but based upon your test scores, he says, I can almost guarantee you we're going to send you to Syracuse University for Russian. You're 90 miles from home. This is college. There's no uniform. You're just going to school, and all credits are transferable. I said, yeah, that sounds good to me. So I signed up. Went back and told my dad, see ya. So went to basic in San Antonio, and graduated from basic, and I'm awaiting orders. And one day I'm told to report to this building, and I did, and they brought this Dr. Tharp down from Yale University. They took all the future linguists that were in waiting for orders, and he told us, how would you like to go to Yale University? And I'm saying, wait a second, I just graduated from high school because I went to chorus. What do you mean Yale University? He said, well, he says, we need Chinese linguists really bad. The Air Force Institute of Far Eastern Studies is at Yale University. We can't change your orders. You got your schools coming up. He says, but if you want to go to Yale, sign here. I signed. I said, what the hell? So I go home. They sent me home. So that was just July. August, I had casual duty. September, I figured school's going to start in September. They sent me home for leave. Well, I didn't get any orders in September. I didn't get any orders in October. I didn't get any orders in November. I called my recruiter and I said, what's going on? He said, don't worry. He says, you're good. He says, we're just working things out. And once a month, I drove up to the Air Force Base in Buffalo, got paid. This is all paid, uncharged leave.
Wow.
So December, I get my orders. You are hereby assigned to the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California, an Army language school. We're talking Reveille. We're talking KP. We're talking drill. And was I mad. But one of my buddies was really mad. He had taken Korean at Yale. They didn't have an intermediate Korean, so he re-upped for 4 years for basic Chinese, thinking he was going to go back to Yale.
And then got sent somewhere else.
Yeah. Anyways, Monterey was beautiful. And we got to the point after we had the great bookcase riot of 1966. Um, so many linguists were pissed off. They just threw all their books and their desks and their chairs and everything right out the windows into the courtyard, started a bonfire. Monterey newspaper printed it. And after that, we just didn't seem to have so much revelry or so many trails or KP.
Yeah.
Anyway, just made it through language school. I mean, geez, I almost failed Latin, you know what I went this. So anyway, made it through language school. Went to intercept school, voice intercept school in San Antonio. Came home back home on leave and got my assignment. Nice, sweet assignment. 14 months in the or 18 months in the Philippines.
Oh, okay, very nice.
This great duty.
Yeah.
I was breaking Chinese code, and I seemed to have a really knack for it. Nice desk job, beautiful country. You know what I mean? I was there 14 months.
What years was this?
So let's see. Now it'd be 1967. I'm in the Philippines.
Okay.
I joined 65, language school 66, intelligence school Philippines 67.
Got it.
And nice, sweet 18-month assignment. While I'm there, they circulated this questionnaire. Would you accept an assignment to the 6924th Security Squadron, Penang, Vietnam?
Okay.
There were 12 guys in my shop. The other 11 ran like hell. And I signed. I said, I wanted to see what this was like. I mean, the war was going on. And I had friends that I graduated from schools with, and we were constantly in touch. We knew the war was going on, but it wasn't going on. I mean, it really wasn't real to us, right?
Right.
So to get me home on their dime, the Air Force flew me back to Texas for jungle school, San Angelo, Texas, the same place that I'd gone through for voice intercept training. And of course, this is a farce because there's only three trees in San Angelo, Texas, and now one of them's over 4 feet tall. But I had never fired an M16 up then. I qualified in basic with the M1 carbine because they were sending all the M16s to Nam. So I actually learned how to clean it, tear it down, put it back together, and it was actually my command's way to get me back to the States on their dime. You know, so they sent me home for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and then I'm getting ready to go to Nam. The old man and I, my flight is going to be out at 7:20 the next morning. The old man and I went out and got drunk. We were out at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now he was, let's see, what was he? He was in the infantry. He went through, he was going to University of Alabama, and after Pearl Harbor, he and his buddy got drunk, went down and enlisted. So he had gone through Italy, North Africa, Italy, France, and was in Germany when the war ended. But we never talked much about the war.
Yeah.
He told me that night, Brad, you'll never find anything as exciting as war. He said, I wish I could go for you, son, but I guarantee you, you'll never find anything as exciting as war.
Wow.
So the flight was at 7:20. We got home at 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't wake up till 7 o'clock in a 10-minute ride to the airport. Woke the old man up, threw the duffel bag in the car, flew to the airport. He dropped me off the front door. I flew in, I got to the desk, and the guy says, nothing I can do for you, son. The plane is taxiing right now. He said, wait a second. They actually brought the plane, he hadn't gone far. They brought the plane back to the gate. Yep.
No kidding.
Story. Okay, the itinerary is Rochester, Buffalo, O'Hare, LAX, Hawaii. All right.
Okay.
So the plane lands in Buffalo, and I'm sitting there, and I'm flying standby. I'm the only one in uniform, and I'm watching this guy come across a runway, and I said, "Uh-oh, I'm going to get bumped. I'm the only guy here."
Yeah.
You know. And all of a sudden I see him turn around and go back, and the stewardess comes up to me and says, "Hold out your hand." This is United Airlines. Okay. So I held out my hand. She put $35 in change in there. I said, "Who's this from?" He says, "Well, it's going to be from your father." And then it occurred to me, I didn't have the cent on me. So the guy at told the guy at the desk told the crew on the plane, "Get this kid some money." And she said it would have been a lot more, but it's the day before payday.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Remember, at that point, this is early. This is January 1968. This was before that.
Yeah.
Okay, the war, and we still had some respect as members of the military, right? I mean, we had that respect. Little did I know, on January 23rd, there was the Pueblo incident. Have you ever heard of the Pueblo incident?
I have. Yep.
That was on the 23rd of January, 68. That's when the spy ship was captured off the coast of North Korea. That ship, we were always told, because we had top secret crypto clearances, we would never be caught alive. They told us they would get us out. They would do everything they could to evacuate us, but we could not be captured. And we just accepted it. And for 99% of us, it meant nothing. Like in the Philippines, you never had to worry about it. Thailand, you didn't have to worry about it. In a war zone, it's a different story. And those sailors knew that ship should have been scuttled, and they never should have been captured. And that set the intelligence community back, the Far Eastern intelligence community back 25 years.
Wow. Yeah.
The equipment and the intelligence that the North Koreans got, and after that, all we did was give the Navy the bird, man. Okay, so
hey, can you tilt your camera a little bit? I'm just getting the top of your head. If you can tilt it, son. Can you tilt your camera just a little bit? I'm just getting the top of your head. There you go. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Right there.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. Right there.
How's that?
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, all right. So where was it? So anyways, landed in Vietnam. Guy picks me up in the tarmac and says, "Boy, you picked a hell of a good time to get her." First of all, I was out of the loop because I'd been home all that time. I didn't know about the Pueblo incident. Okay. And, he said, "You picked a hell of a good time to get her." I said, "Why is that?" He goes, "Attack imminent." And I said, "Wait a second. When I left, this was supposed to be a truce, attack truce." He says, "There ain't going to be no truce."
Yeah.
So the first day, the 26th, I cleared post. I went to finance and medical and all that place. On the 27th, they showed me my work site. It was a trailer. And my boss, we called him Buck Tiber, Senior Master Sergeant. All right. They called him Buck Tiber because he was always bucking for another stripe, and he was just a prick. So I met him. I shook hands with him, and he says, "You're going to get a haircut." And I looked at him. I'm no rookie. I've been in almost 2 years at this point, right? This is a war zone, and the first thing you tell me is I'm going to get a haircut. I didn't want to argue with him. We got a barber shop right on base. I went and I said I got a trim. I came back. Andrew's God's honest truth. He says, "That ain't going to do it."
What?
He hauled me over to the major's trailer. Okay, and he said, "This sergeant just disobeyed a direct order, and the major doesn't know what's going on." And he looks at me and he says, "What do you have to say for yourself, son?" So I rubbed my hand across the back of my neck. I got the loose hairs, and I said, "This ain't fucking grass." And I walked out, and I never heard another thing. But boy, Buck Tiger and I'll tell you about that later, we really came to blows.
Yeah.
So we started work, but I still haven't got my weapon. Okay, that's a Marine. You go to bed. You never leave your weapon. I haven't got my weapon. No. So the night of the 28th is when the attack started. The first attack started, and I didn't have my weapon. The sirens go off. I'm in the barracks. I run for a bunker. I just run for a bunker. And I spent the first night in the bunker, and that was really something. The rockets and the mortars and the small arms. But thank God I had 5,000 Marines between me and them.
Yeah.
If you ever saw the movie Full Metal Jacket, that was the name that night. Those guys just, I think they, after action report, only 12 guys got through the fence.
You said 12?
Charlie, only 12.
Wow.
So, but I mean, the rockets and the mortars are scary when you feel the ground shake. I don't care who you are, war changes you.
Yes.
You'll never be the same, right? You'll never be the same after the war. So anyway, I found out later, but that wasn't true. That the reason we didn't have our weapons, that we had to, the intelligence guys were all housed in one barracks. Okay, we had room. Marines didn't. We housed Marines, and the story went that a Marine and an airman got in a firefight in the barracks. So they took the weapons away from Air Force. No, those weapons were locked up in a Connex on purpose because we weren't going to be captured. We knew that.
Yeah.
So I really don't know where to go from there, except, so the only really funny incident that I had when I was in the Nang, the job, actually I was breaking deep. The reason that they wanted me to go in for the master sergeant to go was they thought China was going to enter the ground war.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They didn't. I mean, they were making the AKs and they were, a lot of the MiGs, but they never entered the ground. And my command was so good that they decided they didn't need me, and they gave me orders for Taiwan, and that was paradise. The only, but Buck Tiger was pissed because he'd been waiting for your Chinese linguist. That's where you want to go. You speak the language. Your women are beautiful. You're making money. I mean, when I got there, I had an apartment, leather front. I paid for that with cigarettes and beer. You know what I mean? It was just glorious duty.
So you went from Vietnam. You went from Vietnam to Taiwan. You said.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. That was great. We actually had a golf pro at Chulinko Air Station in Taiwan. Available for bowling was a nickel a game. Beers were a dime. We had 3 chow halls open 24 hours. 1 Chinese, 1 American, 1 like short order. It was paradise. So.
And then what were you doing? What were you doing there? The same type of stuff?
I was eavesdropping on Chinese airports.
Okay.
I mean, I got to know these guys really great. I mean, I knew their families, their daughter, when their daughters were getting married, their birthday, and just listening to them all night long, translating it live. It was good, dude. Good dude. But I was 3 days late getting there because when that plane banked over Taipei after I left Nam, and we got hit the day I left. There were like 4 or 5 rocket shells. When that plane banked over Taipei and I saw those city lights, I had 24 hours to report to base. And it took me about 3 days. Once I got downtown, I wasn't going straight back. So when I took the cab to the top of the hill to check in. I got in about 3 o'clock in the morning. The AP stops me and says, Dunlap, short of my orders, Dunlap. He said, we've been waiting for you. I said, I bet you have. He said, let me call Top. So they wake Top up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, no.
Bring him out. Says, Dunlap, I'm not going to forget this. I said, okay, all right. Anyways, duty was great. So since I wasn't going to re-up, I was supposed to be there to April, but since I wasn't going to re-up, they thanked me again, said, how'd you like to go home? So they let me out in December.
Wow. Okay.
Now,
very nice.
Now I had gotten engaged to my high school sweetheart at that point, And I sent her a plane ticket so she could meet me in Chicago. So I flew from Taiwan to Hawaii to SeaTac. And then anyways, I just flown like 12,000 miles. I stank. I needed a shower. I had my tie loose. And I'm at the gate where her plane's gonna come in. And this Air Force captain, he's got the dentist insignia on him, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm at the gate. You could do that then. You could go right up to the gate and wait. And he says, Sergeant, you got to be the poorest excuse for an airman I've ever seen. I looked at he's got the National Defense ribbon. I got 4 rows of ribbons, right? He's got the national. You know what the National Defense ribbon for, right?
Yeah.
Getting out of bed on time in a row, right? And I looked at him, and I said, "If you're not out of my," I said, "Sir, if you're not out of my sight in 10 seconds, I'm going to show you some moves that just might save your life in combat." And he looked at me. He took off. Okay, that's over, right? 10 minutes later, he comes with 2 airport security guards.
Okay.
And I'm going, uh-oh. Her plane's due any minute, you know. And I'm like, this is not going to go well. So once one of the security guys stays with him, the other one walks over with me. Now people are starting to watch, right? I tried to keep my voice down so nobody would hear us. And she says, what's going on here? Did you threaten that man? I said, no, I just told him I was going to keep him some moves to help him stay alive, sir. He looked at me. I said, look, I'm going home, man. I said, I'm 1 stop away from home. I'm done with this. So he walked over, took the captain away. I just threw the captain the bird. And that was my last official act in uniform before I hit home.
Giving the bird.
Yeah, but it's unbelievable. I mean, wow.
Oh, that's awesome. So at that point then, okay, so now you're out of the Air Force, you're going back to New York, right?
Rochester. Yeah, it was Scottsdale, just south of Rochester. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And
what were you doing when you got back? What type of stuff were you doing at that point?
Oh, I got a job at Kodak the 4th day home. Good job at Kodak. And my wife, she was athletic secretary at RIT. And for Christmas, she gave me a full free ride to RIT. She got it for me.
Wow.
Rochester Incidental. Yeah, and I was getting the GI Bill.
Oh,
so I was getting paid to go free ride. But it wasn't going well. The marriage was not going well from day one. I messed up that little girl so bad. We didn't have a name for it in those days, Andrew. There was no such thing as PTSD.
Yeah. What did they tell you back then? Did you even see a doctor? Did you talk to anybody at all?
Oh, I just left. I had my medical checkout in Taiwan before I left, and that was it.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I didn't know I had PTSD. There was no name for it. I just knew that I was not the same person. I was a junkie addict. I needed excitement. Like the old man said, you'll never see anything as exciting as war. What he didn't say is you're always gonna want it. Walking around without a weapon in a war zone day by day, it just got to me. I didn't know. I didn't know. Anyways, I messed up that little girl. I never raised my hand. I never raised my voice, but I knew how to push her buttons. So that marriage lasted 3 years, and since when I got to my state, I'd call and apologize and all that other stuff. But that's the collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
We got a name for it now, PTSD. I mean, before it was just battle fatigue or shell shock. Those are the only 2 psychological things that you could that you had. And I didn't have shell shock as far as concerned. I didn't have battle fatigue because I wasn't in battle long enough.
Yeah.
there was no such thing as known as PTSD. But
Mm-hmm.
I drinking. I went through 5 muscle cars, 3 Mustangs, a goat, and a Jag.
Wow.
Speed, drinking. I wasn't a nasty drunk, but I was a drunk.
Yeah.
And dropped out of school, got divorced, and I mean, she had to leave to save herself.
Right. Yeah. And that's a fairly common thing for guys to get back. They need to they turn to alcohol a lot. That's a big one. And it kind of messes them up. They have a rough go and stuff like that. So that is definitely something that people today can relate to what was happening then as well. So
got into drugs too. I mean, not only did I get into weed, but mescaline was my favorite. I was doing mescaline every weekend.
Oh, no kidding.
Every week. Yeah. That was my go-to, my favorite.
Right.
And so I mean, after that, I mean, a bunch of jobs. I mean, I always made good money. I was always able to make good money. Bunch of jobs, and then I met another great woman. We spent 7 years together, but it just got to the point where she couldn't take it either. She had to leave to save herself. That's the collateral damage. The families, the women. Now the men are starting to get attention.
Yeah.
The combat guys are starting to get attention. We got a name for it. We got treatment for it, kind of. But the collateral damage is the ones that suffer to live with you.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You abused in many ways. Sometimes you didn't even know you were doing it. So she had to run and save herself.
Yeah, that's definitely something that like even when I came back from combat, not that my wife ran away or anything like that, but I was different, and that put a strain on the marriage and stuff like that. So I can completely understand that for sure.
Well, it got to the point before Kathy left, the second significant other in my life. I would wait for her to go to work. I wasn't working at the time. I was had already been assessed with a disability, not war related, not service related. So when she'd go to work at 4 o'clock, I would get drunk and I would actually go in the bedroom and scream for hours. Just scream.
Wow.
Because I was going crazy. I was absolutely going crazy. And I hurt myself so bad that I would actually fall to the floor, I crawl to the bed, and I couldn't get back in the bed. I didn't know what was wrong with me.
Right. Yeah.
At this point, I've already been 2-time commander of a PFW post and all that stuff, and I've seen other guys with PTSD and stuff like that. And I'd been sent for psych, medically sent for psych evaluation. And somewhere along the line, it got in my medical records that I had PTSD, even though I never claimed it. And I was told along the way in one psych session that I couldn't have PTSD because I wasn't having bad dreams. I never had a bad dream. But I was going never had a bad dream. But I was going absolutely crazy.
Hmm. Wow. Well, at least they put it in your record, so that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, get this part of my records now, and I've got 40%. And the only reason that I disability, the only reason I don't have my 100%, I was told is if I had told them once along the way that I had bad dreams, I'd have my 100%.
No kidding.
But I never got to the point. The months of screaming at night, and you know what I mean. You're starting to see it here.
Oh.
So I severely damaged 2 wonderful women.
Right. And that's messes you up too in your psyche, when you think about that, right?
Yeah. And then it got to the point where I didn't know I was going blind. I'd already had cataract surgery once. You can't do it again. I was slowly going blind. I got C. diff, You know, you just can't stop shitting. It doesn't. You don't eat. It's one of the. It's like the third largest killer in the hospital. Now you get that from antibiotic, from taking the wrong antibiotic. I
I
had
see.
that. Condemned. They had to actually condemn my apartment because of this shit. And I was going blind. I couldn't move, and that's when I tried to commit suicide. I got Perry knife and tried 3 times. I mean, I meant it. I didn't have the strength, but I did tear the sweatshirt. And then somebody found me, went to the hospital, sent to the hospital. They
So you,
actually that finally did diagnose it correctly as C. diff. And I was told it wasn't C. diff. And I told them I'm not leaving until you take one more stool sample. They did. And then they said C. diff. So finally got the right
wow.
medicine. Sent me to a nursing home for rehab. It was supposed to be a 90-day rehab. And then I got COVID while I was there. So the 90-day was turned into 2.5 years, and I had to get
Oh,
my
wow.
apartment because if I was out of my apartment more than 120 days, I lost it. So
Wow.
and because we were in quarantine for over 2 years in a 15 by 15 room with another guy who never took another shower, lockdown, I blew up to 238 pounds to the point where I couldn't even get out of bed because all you could do was eat, and you could eat
Yeah.
double portions. Anyways, I got out of bed. I started going to the gym while I was in there. Every day I worked out. I got down to my fighting weight. I got healthy. Everybody at rehab was in the rehab facility was really proud of me. Then through the VA, finally I got somebody who would help me. Found another place. I got a nice place. I'm healthy. I'm fine.
Yeah. And then now getting you, because you said you lost your apartment and you had to find another place. You said the VA helped you with that.
Yeah, but it was a lot harder than it should have been. But anyways, yes, in the end, even though they sent me to wrong places and gave me wrong information, uh, got me a driver that once left me in the woods, an Uber driver that left me in the woods. But this was not well done. Okay, it was
Yeah.
not well done. But I wound up with a great place, and I'm in great shape.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's good. I just talked to a gentleman today who he started. He purchased some houses. He's in Texas, so he purchased a couple of houses in Texas, and he rents out rooms to veterans, like homeless veterans, that need places to stay or whatever, and are trying to get back on their feet. So he'll rent out rooms, and then that's kind of a stepping stone for them as they're getting back on their feet. But he has a great organization down there that he's working with. But you were talking about the VA. It wasn't a very good transition to try and get you into an apartment and stuff. I think we need more things like that around to help veterans in need whenever they're doing stuff like that.
well, the one thing is about suicide. If somebody tells somebody that is suicidal that that's the coward's way out, that is bullshit. They have never been there. When you're in such pain, it's not that you're a coward. You just can't take the pain. There is no recourse. You can find no way out of it. You're not
Right.
a coward. But I will also tell anybody, don't. I don't care. I was sitting in my own shit, blind, couldn't do anything. And I wanted to go. But came out the other side. Don't. Suicide is not an answer. But you're not a
Absolutely.
coward. Don't. You're a coward if you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's
Very true.
bullshit.
And there's people that are willing to talk to you. There's different things out there. VA has wonderful websites and stuff to be able to, like the what is it, the crisis hotline. That's a thing. That's a resource that's out there as well. So there are things out there. There's chaplains. There's all kinds of stuff that you can reach out to. Just look around. Your neighborhood. There's other veterans around. Just talk to them. Open up. And I know that's easier said than done. But
if you find the right person, You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be the VA. It doesn't have, but if you, Jesus, if you're looking, look and talk to anybody, find some help.
Yeah, absolutely. What about veteran organizations? You said you were part of the VFW. Were there any other veteran organizations you were part of?
Yeah, I joined the American Legion when I first got out. My father-in-law just paid my own, and that wasn't too much. But the thing that's wrong with the VFW is you can't recruit. Because they have, it used to be just American Legion and VFW, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be the two. Well, then Congress started the charter one for the Vietnam veteran, and then they started the charter one for the Iraqi veteran, and then they chartered one for the Afghan veteran. So, and some of them have different agendas.
Mm-hmm.
So the VFW couldn't recruit. I was a two-time commander, and I think over the time the 3 years I was there, we lost 3 to age and could only recruit 1. We wound up selling our post home. There was no money.
No kidding.
You couldn't recruit. You could, out of the new veterans, they were going to Vietnam veterans or Afghanistan veterans or Iraqi veterans, all the new chartered organizations. So young blood, you couldn't get any in the VFW. It's a dying organization.
Well, there's got to be a way for it to hopefully bring that back. From what I've seen, VFW has done some really good things over the years.
Good. We just good. We were running dry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the recruiting pool, you have the pool to recruit from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah. So, if you don't mind, I want to kind of take a step back. So you were also in the Army Reserve, right?
Yeah. I became a writer. That was one of the things that I did. And a friend of mine told me about the 98th Division was looking for a writer.
Okay.
Okay. But I had to re-enlist into the reserve, Army Reserve, because I was Air Force, and then go to the Defense Information School in, where the hell is it?
Is it Maryland?
Huh?
Is it Maryland?
In a minute. Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. And go through the basic journalism course. And then I became a photojournalist for the Army Reserve, became editor of their newspaper, took a couple live assignments. We went active a couple times, but all local, all New York, nothing overseas.
Yeah.
So I think I spent almost 6 years with them.
Okay. And then did you go anywhere with them or anything like that, or was it just all there?
Not out of New York. Everything was New York.
Okay.
I went to Fort Trump a couple times to do assignments and do stories. That's about as far as I went from Rochester.
All right. And now you've been you've been writing for a while. Then, do you have any other publications? Have you done anything else with that, or?
Well, no. I mean, I had a conservative newsletter for quite a while, and it did all right. But let's see, it was right around there where I went nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It was right around that time when I went nuts, when I started all the screaming and everything, and
right.
So all that by the wayside.
Yeah, makes sense. Wow. So if you think back over your life, over your career, all the things that you've done, what are some of the things, the advice, the lessons learned that you would want to really impart on people at this point?
Well, number one, I don't know how you're going to take this, Andrew. I would not advise anybody to go into the United States military right now. Under the current regime, I would not take the jab. If I did go, I haven't had the jab. And you know what's really bad about that? See, even if you didn't get the jab, People that had the jab are donating blood. That crap is now in the blood bank. So even if you didn't take that jab, that crap that mess up your RNA or your DNA is going to be in there. And people are dropping like flies. So number one, don't join the military. Number two, you're in charge of your own healthcare. Don't take the jab.
Okay, yeah, that's good advice.
Would you advise anybody right now to join the United States military under the current regime?
That's a tough question. It really is.
No, it's not.
I think that there are good things happening, and your military, whether it's a good what's it called, the political environment, or whatever side it's on, right? Your military is supposed to be your neutral, and they're there for the nation. Does some of those political aspects find their way in? Yeah, absolutely it does, right? They did the whole, everyone had to take the shot, and all that type of stuff happened, and luckily they reversed it. They say it again.
A lot of brave men take the shot.
Yeah, a lot of people got out.
They left.
Mm-hmm.
And they left.
Now they did say that they could come back in and stuff like that. That was after the fact, but most of them have moved on. I don't know any of them that came back, at least me personally. So yes,
you know what amazed me? I spent 4 years active, 6 years of reserves. I never had to go to one drag queen show, and I made it up. That's what they're doing to the military now too.
Yeah, it seems to be sometimes it's that political what do you call it, the experiments, if you will, right, where they're taking whatever's happening in the nation and they're trying to bring it in. I don't think it's supposed to be that way, me personally, and that makes it difficult on some people, and I still think that the military is a great organization. I still think it's holds its value and stuff like that, especially for the country. And, I think that there's a place for that. But I think it's going to shift, every so many years, it's going to turn over and it's going to do something different, which is absolutely. Yeah.
I hope you're right. That's what I said. Under the current regime, I would not.
Yeah.
Recommend.
No, I understand where you're coming from.
United States military.
Yeah.
And especially now, you don't know who's going to be fighting. You could be Ukraine, could be Israel, could be Taiwan, could be North Korea coming across the border. And you know what? 3 years ago, there were no wars. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of them going on now.
Yeah.
But
it's going to get easy to earn.
Say it again.
I said it's going to get easy to earn medals.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That's very true. No, I'm hoping that it starts to turn here shortly, and we'll see. Anything can happen, I suppose. But you're right about the adversaries and things like that. It doesn't know. I mean, it's all over the place. So we have to ensure that our military stays strong. That way, it's a deterrent and stuff like that. It's important.
We need it. We need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the core values, duty, honor, country, are still there, but this is not the time to be a soldier.
Yeah, and it can be tough. I agree with you. There's things that have happened recently, that I don't necessarily agree with. And that makes it tough, and you got to make a decision at some point in time, do I continue doing it or do I move on? And every person's got their own personal beliefs and those types of things. But I think that's honestly in the military, I've noticed that no matter what the mission may be, we're going to find a way to work together to get it done. No matter what our personal beliefs are, we're somehow going to come together and we're going to be able to accomplish the mission. And I just wish that our politicians could have the same type of attitude about stuff. That would make things much easier for sure.
Well, that's possible. That could happen again someday. We get the right
someday.
leadership.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'll vote for you for president. You know.
You want to be VP?
Oh yeah, man, we'll do it. We'll run it up. Oh man. Well, hey, is there anything else you'd like to chat about, or?
Well, I think that there's other little things that are. I can tell you, my father and I never talked about war.
Mm-hmm.
But he told me two stories. He told me two stories. He was in France, and he had a hard time with his NCO in charge. It was an American Indian. They just didn't get along.
Yeah.
So it's 100% humidity. It's misting. It's like fog. And the sergeant told him, Dunlap, pick 3 guys. You're on patrol tonight. And the old man said, look, I'll take the next 2 nights, but my glasses are all steamed up. I'm not seeing that good. So I'll take the next 2, have somebody else lead the night. He says, no, you go. So he did. They got 2 miles out of camp when their position was dialed in, and the whole camp was wiped out by mortars, except for him and the 4 guys on patrol.
The ones that went on the patrol were the ones that survived it. Everyone else had died. Guys,
they were about a mile and a half outside when it was dialed in, and they went out.
Do you know where in France that was?
No. Just before he went to Germany, he told me that. And the other story was, he was all done, the war was over, and while he was waiting orders, they made him a cook.
Okay.
And so this load of hot dogs comes in, frozen hot dogs, officers only. Officers only. Right? Well, he got about 6 packs. He took 6 packs out of the freezer and gave them to his buddies back in the barracks, and they had a cookout.
Nice.
It was bad meat. It was bad meat, and everybody got sick. And he had to explain all these enlisted men got sick. But he spent 4 years. Yeah, he spent 4 years. I know he went through hell, but those are the only 2 stories he ever told me.
No kidding. You know, my dad was in Korea. He was a Marine in Korea, and he never really told any stories about his time over there in combat. He did talk about other things that he did and stuff, but he would never talk about combat, and not one time. The closest he ever got talking about combat was when I was deploying, and I was going over to Iraq. He had messaged me, or not messaged me. He sent me a letter, handwritten letter, and he basically says something about, I know what you're gonna get. I know what you're gonna go through, and it's not gonna be pleasant, but remember, you're gonna be able to make it through it, and da da da. So just encouraging words, but he never told me anything. Now he told me some funny stories. Don't get me wrong. He has some very amusing stories from his time in the Marine Corps, but nothing with combat. So, and I can understand that.
Well, I thank God for the Marines, because the only reason I got back is I had 5,000 Marines between me and Charlie when I was in the Navy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. But hey, Brad, I want to thank you for coming on, kind of telling your story, talking about some pretty tough topics. You were mentioning suicide type stuff. That's a huge thing for me. After I end every podcast, I try to encourage the veterans, to reach out for help and try to give them some of those lifelines that they can do. It's very important to me. But I just want to say thank you for coming on and sharing your story, and it's very impactful, at least on me. I'm sure there are plenty of other veterans that are going to say the same thing.
Well, I hope somebody hears it and gets something out of it. Suicide is not an option. There is always help out there. Go get it. Keep looking till you find it. But suicide is not an option.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Hey, Brad, thank you very much. For all the listeners out there, just like we're saying, suicide is not an option. Reach out for help. The VA does have the suicide prevention, or I'm sorry, crisis line prevention stuff. So you can dial 988, press option 1. They're going to put you in contact with somebody that's going to be able to help you out. You can also text. You can text 838-255. They will also be able to respond to that, put you in contact with somebody that's going to help you out. And if you like to chat online and you feel more comfortable doing that, a lot of the younger folks like to do that. You can go to veteranscrisisline.net, and they have that chat icon that all you got to do is click on. All of this is anonymous. All of this is you just tell them what you feel like telling them, but they are going to put you in contact with somebody that's going to help you throughout. But again, Brad, thank you for joining us. I truly appreciate it. I loved hearing your story. And to anybody else out there, stay motivated, change your socks.
I did change my socks before I got on. Thank you, Andrew.
No problem.